Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, or hello if you are new. My name is Alyssa and here we talk all things true crime related. Now, the purpose of this channel is to make sure that the victims in these cases are not forgotten, because in the end, they matter. Now, today we're going to be talking about a case that is still technically ongoing. As of filming this, the trial is set to start on December 9th of this year, 2024. So everything we're going to be discussing today is alleged until proven otherwise. Now, I do have to say alleged as I was not there. Now, this case ended up hitting the media back when it occurred in 2022 due to the social media persona involved in this case. I would describe this case as two individuals in a very toxic relationship that eventually turned fatal. Now, there is a lot of information out there regarding this case, so I did my best to try and consolidate everything into one place. I also want to give a disclaimer that the contents of this video contains scenes and descriptions of physical abuse that may be disturbing to some viewers, so viewer discretion is strongly advised. Christian Obumseli, or also known as Toby to his friends and family, was born on April 12, 1994, making him 27 years old at the time of this case. He was from Dallas, Texas, and since he was born, Christian had this radiance about him that made it easy for people to love him. He was the youngest of a big family, and with being the youngest, he always had someone there to support him or even get him out of trouble. He had this charming smile that would light up any room he would walk into. And with having a joyful attitude, Christian could always be counted on to bring the fun. And I feel like we all kind of have that person that just always has a good attitude. And no matter what you're going through, they always manage to put a smile on your face. And I feel like Christian was this person to his friends and family. As Christian was attending Plano East Senior High School, he found a love for football. He ended up playing middle linebacker, where his skills would eventually earn him a scholarship to Abilene Christian University in Texas. Later on, he ended up transferring to Texas Tech University, where he would study engineering, and from what I heard, engineering is one of the hardest degrees you can get, so this really showed Christian's intelligence. With having a free spirit, Christian found a love for traveling, and since he had this kind of fun-loving attitude, it allowed him to be comfortable in all of these different environments. Now, Christian went on to work as a cryptocurrency trader while he was still living in Texas, and during this time in November of 2020, through mutual friends, he meets 26-year-old Courtney Clenny, also known as Courtney Taylor, on her social media. According to their social media, the couple appeared to be living their best authentic lives, but behind the scenes, they definitely were not this happy couple that has it all. Now, Courtney did not have a great track record. As she began to gain recognition on her social media accounts, other influencers that would do collaborations with her said they saw Courtney exhibit signs of instability, where she relied heavily on alcohol and drugs. In addition, it was also said that she had a history of aggressive behavior towards previous boyfriends. So in my opinion, it doesn't seem like she had a very good reputation when it came to her behavior. She was also known to be one that liked to party, and her social media reflected as so. She reportedly had 2 DUIs, one in 2015 and another in 2021. And unfortunately, with Courtney's substance abuse, it contributed to her troubled personal life behind her public persona as a social media influencer. Now, Christian and Courtney had a very toxic relationship since November of 2020 when they met. Now, there's a few instances we're going to be talking about here, but a common occurrence with all of these is that the people around them would say that their arguments almost always occurred when Courtney was not sober. So in July of 2021, Courtney was arrested in Las Vegas for domestic battery by allegedly throwing a glass at Christian, barely missing his head. Now, one thing I wanted to note about this incident is that in the body cam footage at the jail, Courtney claimed that she was not scared during this heated argument because Christian would never hurt her.
And I decided to call because we were getting really loud. It wasn't because I was scared or anything. You wouldn't hurt me.
Now, keep that in mind. It's even shown that Christian did not want Courtney to get arrested that night. I mean, he appears to be visibly upset in this clip when he found out she was indeed going to be arrested. Which in retrospect, she kind of outed herself because she was actually the one that called security, but then ended up getting arrested. Later that year, on October 9th, 2021, Christian's text messages uncover an incident that happened a day prior where Courtney allegedly stabbed Christian in the leg so bad to the point where he couldn't walk. And you guys, in this message, Christian is basically writing off the fact that she hurt him and went about the next day doing all these things to make Courtney happy even though he was in pain. Like, that's how much he loved her. In late January of 2022, Courtney inflicted 2 cuts on Christian's cheek that was so deep he ended up needing stitches. In Christian's text, it was discovered that he wrote, quote, "Is love going to kill me? February was the worst month I had so far. I got cheated on. I got called that word again. I got slapped in my stitches that has reopened multiple times and it's not healing fast enough." End quote. There was also a video that was released that showed an altercation that happened between Christian and Courtney back in 2022 in Aspen, Colorado, where Courtney again appeared to be the aggressor. On March 5th of 2022, Christian recorded Courtney saying this.
"I'm actually not having a good day, or I actually really want to kill you, but you don't take me seriously."
Prosecutors believe that this recording shows that Courtney had homicidal ideas, so it's evident that Christian was starting to document his and Courtney's conversations and interactions through audio recordings like the one we just heard, as well as messages.
"You are so lucky about my dog."
Stop hitting me.
"You are still because you let my dog."
Because I was looking at for you.
My dog.
My bad.
I'm
Okay, my bad. I'm just making.
No, not your. Give me something. Give me something better than my back.
I'm sorry. Okay, Courtney, just stop
Don't ever do that again.
Okay, just stop it. It's okay. Stop.
I need my phone.
Cece, I'm.
Don't touch me.
What is going on? Like, what are you gonna get this mad at me when I'm apologizing to you?
No, Christian.
But you're thinking I'm doing it on
Drop your drop your high pitch.
Okay, I'm not doing it on purpose.
You tossed Sahara. You know damn well the right thing to do is to tell me.
Yes, and I am so sorry.
So shut up and let me slap you, dumb.
You're not gonna slap me.
Give me my phone.
You have your phone.
Those audios are just so hard to listen to. It's just incredibly sad how he was treated. Now, one common denominator with these incidents is that Courtney allegedly was the aggressor, whereas Christian would attempt to de-escalate the situations, but was not always successful. So this brings us to the events that lead to the tragic event that took place on April 3rd of 2022. So back in January of that year, Courtney and Christian moved into their 3-bedroom, 3-bath, high-rise luxury apartment in Miami, which overlooked the Biscayne Bay. I mean, this condo was absolutely gorgeous, not to mention the all-glass windows and beautiful view of the water. Allegedly, this condo was around $10,000 a month in rent for Christian and Courtney, so definitely luxury living, in my opinion. Immediately following the move to Miami, incidents of violence and arguments began in which the building staff took record of the events, and many incidents included multiple DV disputes from both sides, where complaints would be made by tenants as far as 2 floors above their apartment. The security and staff at the apartment building had several documented incidents of arguing in which the property was actually in the midst of taking legal steps to evict the couple from the condo. These documented incidents shows that Courtney was physically violent with Christian. For example, 1 month after moving into their Miami apartment, in February of 2022, surveillance at their Miami condo catches Courtney aggressively attacking Christian in the elevator. Now, in my opinion, Courtney seems to be the aggressor, but you can dissect it how you want. Due to the toxicity of their relationship, this caused Christian and Courtney to separate numerous times. But on the last week of March of 2022, which would be 3 months after moving into their Miami apartment, Courtney kicked Christian out of their apartment while Courtney's mom was in town visiting. And once his mom went back home to Texas, they rekindled their relationship on April 1st of 2022. At this time, Christian moved back into the apartment, but immediately after, the arguments began. One day after Christian moved back in, building staff called the police to report a domestic dispute, but when police responded, it was reported that Courtney appeared to be intoxicated. The next day, on Sunday, April 3rd, the day seemed to have started peacefully with social media posts showing the two playing with their dogs in their apartment. At 1:15 p.m. that same day, key fob records show that Christian left and returned to the apartment at 4:32 p.m. with Subway sandwiches for himself and Courtney. Now, I did find that while Christian was out riding his bike, he ran into one of Courtney's friends and said hello. Call records show that Courtney called Christian at 4:01 p.m. right before she went live on her Instagram.
Do you support the police? I said, I've actually, yes, I do. I do. I think a lot of times they don't do their job, for sure. And in my experience, I've not been helped by them, but I think for sure they typically do their job, and it shouldn't. I don't know.
Then called again at 4:33 p.m., shortly after she finished posting the Instagram live video and right before Christian arrived back to the apartment with the sandwiches. So essentially, she finishes the live video, posts it, calls Christian basically right before he walks through the door. Now, it's not clear how things escalated between Christian and Courtney when he returned, but it was said that she was upset about the encounter Christian had with the friend when he was out riding his bike. Shortly after, Miami Police Department responded to a 911 call regarding a male that was suffering from an apparent stab wound. When police showed up, officers went into the condo and found Christian laying on the floor in Courtney's arms, who appeared to have a wound to the chest.
Baby, wake up. Okay. Get up. Please, don't. Please. Listen, get him up. Get up right now. Drop it to the floor. I'll help him out. Get up. Oh, no, I can't let this, okay? Wait, it wasn't.
Officers immediately rendered aid to Christian until the fire rescue arrived, and at the same time, they had pulled Courtney aside and put her, in another room or another hallway, by Christian, but where she couldn't see him at all, but she could hear what was going on.
They won't tell me if he's okay.
In the next room, paramedics are trying to help Christian, who had been stabbed.
What is his name?
Christian Obumseli.
What's his name?
Christian Obumseli. Obumseli, please.
Listen, sit down. Do me a favor.
Christian was then transported to Jackson Memorial Hospital, where he would succumb to his injuries and was pronounced dead. As Courtney was taken into custody at the Miami Police Department, she provided a detailed description of the events leading up to the incident, which we'll go over later, and claimed self-defense. But remember, in the Vegas incident, Courtney claimed that Christian would never hurt her. Following her statement, Courtney was released pending further investigation. After consulting with the medical examiner, the state attorney's office issued several warrants and subpoenas. In addition, Miami Police Department and the state attorney prosecutors reviewed an exhaustive list of evidence that include 911 calls, recorded statements, and cell phone extraction data. An autopsy was performed by Miami's chief medical examiner, who did confirm that Christian's cause of death was a stab wound to the chest, and the manner of death was homicide. Based on phone records and testimonies from Courtney's mom, Deborah, police were able to determine a time frame for when the wounds to Christian's chest were inflicted. Deborah, Courtney's mom, confirmed that she was on the phone with Courtney at 4:43 p.m., so 10 minutes after Christian returned home with the sandwiches, and was on the phone with Courtney until 4:56 p.m. So they weren't on the phone very long, about 13 minutes. But what's shocking about this call is that Courtney's mom confirmed that she was on the phone with her when Courtney inflicted the fatal wound on Christian. Like, can you even imagine? She's just on the phone with her mom and at the same time stabbed Christian? It's absolutely upsetting. At the same time Courtney was on the phone with her mom and having this altercation with Christian, one of the neighbors began calling the building security to report a disturbance at the apartment. Then security ended up calling 911 to report what was going on. 11 minutes later at 4:57 p.m., Courtney called 911 to inform police that Christian was suffering from a stab wound and needed help. Listen to this.
Ma'am, listen to me. You need to stop screaming on the line and give me the address. 3101.
You got a guy, I can't feel my arm.
3101.
I can't feel my arm.
Ma'am,
So my boyfriend is dying of a stab.
ma'am, what is the address?
What's that? What's the address?
3131.
3131 Northeast 7th Ave. Please, God, please. Come save my boyfriend.
Ma'am, is this a house apartment or a
I
business?
want you to 7453582.
Is this a house apartment or a business?
Baby, I'm so sorry. Baby.
Ma'am, can you hear me?
If you have a stab wound to his shoulder, then you sit down.
What do you mean he has a stab wound on his shoulder, ma'am?
Yeah, he's bleeding from his shoulder.
Let's see, this is PD position 2. The caller, ma'am, hold on one moment. The caller advised the address is 3131 Northeast 7th Avenue, 31 Northeast 7th Avenue. The phone number is verified. The caller advised that her boyfriend has a stab wound.
Now, I'm assuming that Courtney hung up the call because in the audio, you can no longer hear any background noise or Courtney talking. It's just the dispatcher and the police officer that I'm assuming was en route to the scene. And they were basically just trying to connect the dots as to what is happening. And pretty quickly, one of them connected the 911 call that the security officer made with Courtney's 911 call, and that's how they were able to figure out the exact apartment number. Now remember, Deborah, Courtney's mom, was on the phone with Courtney during this incident. Deborah stated to police that she could hear Courtney yelling at Christian to leave the apartment, and also said that Courtney was saying to Christian that he was lying. Originally, Deborah stated to investigators that her and Courtney did not discuss the incident. However, investigators saw text messages from Courtney's phone where her mom mentions self-defense and advised Courtney not to say anything to investigators without an attorney. But Deborah's recorded statement to police excludes any claim that Courtney said she was being attacked by Christian during the 13-minute phone call. So it kind of questions Courtney's self-defense statement if there's no audio or witness stating he was attacking her. Now, Courtney admitted to having caused Christian's injury, but there were several inconsistencies about the incident. For instance, Courtney claimed that she grabbed a knife in response to Christian shoving her against a wall by the neck, then proceeding to throw her on the ground, where then he allowed her to get back up. However, Courtney's body was documented on the date of the incident, and there were no injuries to her body that could corroborate with this account. At no point did Courtney mention that Christian was armed with any type of weapon. Courtney did describe to investigators that she had no intent to use the knife, but when Christian allegedly charged at her, she grabbed it as a defense. She also stated that she threw the knife at Christian in excess of 10 feet. So in her interrogation, she stated that she was over by the fridge in their kitchen, and then Christian was by the couch in their living room. However, the medical examiner pointed out that based on the location and depth of the wound, throwing a knife at that distance would not have caused a fatal wound, but rather the knife entered Christian's chest in a downward angle to the depth of 3 inches. According to crime scene photos, there were droplets of blood by the kitchen island dripping to the master bedroom/bathroom and into the living room. By the couch, a bloody knife believed to be a kitchen knife and bedsheet was discovered. At the entrance of the guest room, there was a puddle of blood along with a transfer of blood on the wall, and this showed evidence that Christian collapsed in the guest room before attempting to make it to the front door. I mean, you guys, this was a gruesome scene. Her pants were covered in blood, and it's like all in her hair, in the apartment. I don't know. Now, obviously, we can go through a list of scenarios for how this could have been avoided, but I did want to mention that prosecutors allege that building security was standing outside of their apartment door while this fatal attack was going on, but did not intervene. Now remember, originally Courtney did not get arrested. She did go into custody, but then was later released. And for a moment, it seemed like she was going to get away with it. However, when Christian's family got involved, let's just say they are not going to stop until justice is served. That's when Courtney decided to get a lawyer because it was pretty clear that an investigation was going to begin and it wasn't just going to be a self-defense case closed type of situation. After Courtney was released from custody, she flew to Hawaii and checked herself into a rehab facility where she sought treatment for PTSD caused by the stabbing, as well as for substance abuse issues. But once the arrest warrant for Courtney was issued, she was later arrested and extradited from Hawaii back to Florida and was then charged with second-degree murder in the stabbing and death of Christian Obumseli with no bond set. Photos were released that were taken by Courtney's mother on the same day of the stabbing, but in my unprofessional opinion, the bruises look too old to have just happened, but it's not to say that they could be from prior incidences between the two. Now, at Courtney's bond hearing, her dad gets up to testify in her defense, but he kind of mentions that Courtney may not have been allowed to be around certain family members due to her behavior, so it kind of really didn't help to build her character up, in my opinion. As of filming this, a trial date has been set for December 9th of 2024, but Courtney will remain in jail until her trial or further notice. I also found that recently Courtney's parents, Deborah and Kim Clenny, were arrested on January 30th of this year, so 2024, in Texas and was extradited to Miami-Dade, where they face charges related to the Miami murder. According to the arrest warrants, the parents are facing a charge of unauthorized access to a computer. So Courtney is currently in jail awaiting trial on the second-degree murder charge and now is also facing the same third-degree felony computer charge as her parents. Christian's family attorney told Local 10 News, quote, "Happy the state attorney's office is continuing to aggressively hold Ms. Clenny responsible and accountable. The new charges support our position from day one. This was not a justified killing. The tampering with evidence and obstruction supports our position that this was not self-defense. This was someone not in self-control. We are grateful for the SAO for the new charges," end quote. Now, Courtney's parents did end up appearing in court after posting a $5,000 bond each. The Clenny's attorney spoke out about this charge, claiming that the prosecutors pulled this out of thin air, and since Courtney shared the laptop with Christian, this charge does not apply to the facts of the case. But this case is just so sad to me. I mean, there was a love letter that was found in the apartment that allegedly Christian wrote to Courtney, basically confessing his love to her and that he wanted to take her to the altar and spend the rest of his life with her. But one part that stuck out to me was, quote, "I want to be everything to you, your boyfriend, your best friend, and your lifelong partner, the man you trust to put his life on the line for you," end quote. Like, I'm just speechless. I will make sure to update you all when new information does come out, but it really does break my heart to know what happened to Christian, and my heart definitely goes out to his family and loved ones. I did find a GoFundMe that Christian's brother Jeffrey created in order to support Christian's family as they are fighting for justice, so I will make sure to provide the link in the description below. May Christian be remembered as the compassionate and caring person he was described to be, because in the end, Christian's life, impact, and story matter. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.